What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Octagon podcast. I am your host, Evan Faulkner. It's not just me tonight. We have a very special guest joining us close to home, though, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Help me welcome UFC middleweight Andre Petroski. Andre, thank you, man, very much for coming on the show, hanging out with me a little bit tonight. It's late. It's late for me, dude. I'm an old man. I'm a carpenter. I work in the morning. 2 kids. Like we were just talking about family shit. 9 o'clock. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, bro. But we're here.
It's actually perfect for me because I've been trying to stay up later, because guys probably don't even think about it, but I'm fighting on the East Coast, which is
Yep.
like 3 hours later than the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have fought anywhere from like 1:30 to like 4:30
Right.
in Vegas.
Right.
But I mean the main card won't start till 9 o'clock here, so I've been trying to just stay up a little bit later just so I can be more adjusted to, you know, my
Is
body
that what
being
it
awake.
is? Is that what it is in Atlanta? 9 p.m. main card, I guess, right? Or 10.
I could be wrong. But I believe it is, yeah.
So, and where are you at on the card? Aren't you? I thought you were featured prelim, right?
I don't know.
I,
I
to
think it's
my
moved a few times. They usually
no
don't
doubt.
like have an official lineup until
Oh,
the week of the fight, but I think it was like, 6 fights down.
okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty
Well, the
sure.
UFC website's usually pretty right.
Yeah,
Don't you
the
think?
last time I checked, because I told you when I saw you Saturday, like I was planning on going to that card down there in Atlanta. The 2 guys I do the show with live in
Yeah.
Atlanta, um, and they're actually going now, thanks to you.
Nice. You
I'm
got the
not gonna
tickets?
go. I can't make the trip, but I got 2 tickets for those 2
There
guys.
you
They're
go.
gonna go to the show. So they send their thanks and appreciation for that. They're excited, dude. They were both
Hell
like,
yeah.
"No way, we're missing a UFC show when it comes to Atlanta." Atlanta's kind of like Philly, dude. Like it doesn't come here.
Yeah. Dude, it's only I think it's like an hour and 50-minute flight.
Right. I know. It's super close. It's super
Yeah.
close. We went up to MSG last year in November for the John Jones Stipe card.
Yeah.
Um and one of them flew up for that and into Philly, and I just picked them up on my way. I drove, but I just picked him up from the airport on my way, and I think that's what he said. It was like a 2-hour flight or something like that. But yeah, whatever, man. Anyway, so you got UFC Atlanta, you got Edmund Shabazian. We like briefly, you said something to me Saturday. We talked about it a little bit, but what do you kind of make of the matchup, the opponent? I know the Marquez MMA guys, and I've heard you talk about this specifically in other platforms, how much film you guys watch.
Yeah.
So what do you make of this matchup against Edmund? How do you think you're gonna get this win?
I just think I'm a lot better than him on the ground.
Yeah.
I think that he is dangerous, but he has one weapon on his feet. I think he's got a good right hand. Um, he uses his jab to get in. Um, but I other than that, I don't think he's not like an overly extensive, dangerous striker.
Sure.
He has a good right hand. Um, I'm not underestimating him,
No doubt.
but he also has a very questionable gas tank. Anytime you force him to really like explode or empty the gas tank, like he does not recover whatsoever in fights.
Yeah.
We saw that with like multiple times. Derek
Yeah.
Brunson, Mearshart. He almost finished Mearshart, and then when he didn't get the finish, it was like, dude, he completely fell apart.
Yeah.
Those are kind of mistakes that you can make early in your career, but 20 fights in, you shouldn't be making those. You have to learn how to manage a fight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting too. You have a common opponent, right? I mean, you fought Meerschaert yourself. You got a win against GM3. So you have kind of that to go off of, or we do maybe as fans, we look at common opponents. We have this conversation all the time, like MMA math don't really
Yeah.
add up though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, for sure.
stylistically, it's a completely different fight.
For
Um, but
sure.
but I like what you said about the grappling, um, and just kind of on the ground. And I know, you have a little bit, you wrestled in college, I think, right? You have a
Yeah.
college wrestling, jiu-jitsu, black belt. You do a ton of grappling matches. I talked to you before we started. I was going to bring it up, but I'm going to step away from your fight for a second to ask you a little bit about your time with Fury Pro Grappling, because you do this like pretty often. You seem to take these matches with Fury Pro Grappling a bunch in your career. Why? I guess why do you do that? Why do you feel like that's something that benefits you, your career, whatever your training, whatever you want to say?
I love it, honestly. I get the opportunity first and foremost, I get the opportunity to compete against like big name
Yeah,
opponents on a platform that favors me.
right.
So, like, dude, I mean, look at the guys that I've gone against. I've gone
Hmm.
against Phil Halls, Eric Anders,
Yeah.
OSP.
OSP.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, that's
Hmm.
the light heavyweight title contender at one point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Um, yeah, so like I get to compete against these high level guys. Um, and like, dude, there's like no risk to it really. Like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? You get to make a little bit of money. Even if you make 5 or 10 grand, like the shit adds up.
Hell yeah. That's a
Yeah.
that's a nice little beach vacation or weekend down the shore, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah. And if you do it 2 or 3 times a year, like you can do the math.
Yeah. Now you get a nice house down the shore, you
And
know?
dude, not only that, but the 2300 arena that hosts the Fury Grappling is literally like 12 minutes from my house. Like,
Okay.
yeah, so like I'll
I
literally
love it
stroll
there.
over there at like 9 o'clock at night and grapple at 10:30. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
I love that venue.
me too. I have competed there. Like, I'm not exaggerating, probably over 20 times between kickboxing,
Yeah.
amateur MMA, pro MMA, Fury Grappling, Fight to Win. Like, I've competed there so many times.
It's a great venue. My father-in-law is a huge wrestling fan, and obviously that was the old ECW arena.
Yeah.
So we talk about that all the time. Like when I go up to a Cage Fury event, he's like, "Where's this one at? Is it at the old ECW arena?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, But it's
Yeah, so
it's
I
it's
actually
the
sat
perfect
next to
spot.
Roger. Roger's who well, he doesn't own the building, but he owns the venue.
Okay.
And I sat next to him at the CFFC fights, and he was saying that they have is it AEW? What's the wrestling?
Yeah, AEW is like the new competition, I guess, to like your WWE and all that.
They have 7 events over the next I think he said like 14 days. They have 7 events there. And yeah, he was like every night it'll be sold out.
Yeah. Well, and
But I
that's the
guess wrestling fans are like into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's I I'll be honest, like it's like it is kind of like a small guilty pleasure of mine. Like I used to watch it a ton when I was younger, the Stone
Yeah.
Cold Steve Austin shit and
Yeah.
the Big Show and the Rock, like that whole era. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I was growing up when that was happening, early 2000s. I watched all that. Don't really watch it much anymore. Every once in a while, father-in-law will have a show on or something, and I'll kind of get wrapped into it. I get the appeal. That's what I'll say, right? Like I totally get the appeal. It's a great show. Having anything like that at that venue is sick because there's not a bad seat in that entire place. For any event I've been to there, whether it be grappling or MMA, there's not a bad seat in that entire building. You
Yeah.
know, you have great fights, great matches, whatever, and you can stand or sit anywhere in that building and have a great seat. So I totally
Yeah.
get it.
There's another one in Paulsboro.
Where's that? Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
It's not the Electric Factor. I forget the name of it, but it does. It's not far from me. I would love to go watch like a local show there.
The Electric Factory don't even exist anymore, bro. They changed
That's
the
in
name.
Philly. That was the first my first concert I ever went to when I was a kid was
Yeah.
at the Electric Factory. I think it was like Sublime or Badfish.
They changed it
Sublime and
now.
Rome
It's
or
it's
something.
which one's that? That's the Franklin Music Hall now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they changed, dude. I went there as a kid with my older brother. I don't know if it was my first, but it was one of my first. I went and saw Seether.
Oh yeah.
Seether. And it was dark, dude. Dark show. That's
Yeah.
when that guy, he was like active alcoholic, just slugging whiskey on stage the whole
Wow.
time, turning lights off,
I
just
went to
playing.
Corn this past year, and surprisingly that was still like really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Corn was a good time.
I saw them in Camden. This was years ago, like maybe 2017 or something, but I saw them in I don't even know what they call that venue now either. That changes like every year. It seems like the one
Yeah.
in
It was
Camden with the lawn seats.
BB&T.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, what is it now? It's something different now though. They
Yeah,
changed that all.
I think they just changed it last year.
Yeah, all the time. I can't keep none of this. I can't keep like none of the names of some of these things straight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So and then you grappled Pat Downey.
Yeah.
Was like what? How did that kind of come about? Because he has a fairly big name right now, especially in the jiu-jitsu world. And I guess it seemed like there was, I don't know. I guess you guys are not best friends. It seemed like. How did that kind of come
I
about?
just think he's like a fake individual personally. Like I guess the matchup was originally offered to a couple other people who said no,
Okay.
and like I didn't really care, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was just like a couple things rubbed me wrong. Like, like after the match, we talked and it was all good. And we talked about training together. Like I was
Yeah.
like, "Yo, I got a fight coming up. Like I need wrestling partners." Like he was like, "All right," and we talked about me coming down and him coming up to train. And he was just like, "Yo, like I don't, you don't have to pay me or anything, but like if you can get me a seminar up there, like that would certainly help off balance the cost of driving up and whatnot." And then like 2 days later, I see him training with my opponent. He's in Orlando with Adolfo Vieira, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, why would you have that conversation with me knowing you were going to Orlando in 2 days? Like
Right.
just like a very fake individual. And then like um he had like an interaction with Piper backstage where um Pat like called like said something like, "Yo, like let's grapple next." And Joey was like, "Nah, let's fight next." And he like cowered real bad,
Yeah,
which
because
is
that's a
fair.
goal.
Pat's not like a
Right.
fighter.
Yeah, he's not an
So
MMA
like I
fighter.
mean, I don't blame him for that. But then he's like cornering he's training Gastelum for the Piper fight,
Yeah.
and he he's like talking mad shit on Piper, like,
He just called him out again.
yeah. So apparently they ran into each other somewhere, and he fucking got on his knees and begged for and apologized because he was like scared because he saw Piper again. That's what Joey was saying. But I just didn't like the way he fucking called out Snyder too after that the whole arrest.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, Snyder's like an American hero. That's an Olympic gold medalist. Like,
Right.
I'm not like condoning what he did or anything, but for him to go on there and make it all about him and say like, oh, like this piece of shit got arrested doing this, that, and the other, and I'm like, like all I did was say this, like just you're gonna make like a shitty situation all about you. Like, I don't know, he just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common kind of theme, but he kind of plays into it. Like it's interesting to hear from your perspective because like mine, just kind of watching these events and I see all this different stuff go down, and just like running an MMA podcast, I'm online all the time looking at different things. Like we see and watch everything, and like that's a common thought. But and I always kind of wonder, like, oh, is he just like playing a character? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, is it like a wrestling thing? Like, is just this like the heel character that we're playing to kind of make a name for yourself? But it doesn't seem like it is. You know what I mean? And then you see the video like that came out last year or whatever, where he got was it like a fight at IBJJF or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, that one I don't really blame him for. Like the guy clearly swung at him first.
Yeah, true.
And
No
it was
doubt.
like I personally, from what I saw, Pat choked this dude out, and the dude didn't like it and decided to take a swing at Pat. So,
Right.
like for that, I don't blame him.
I
You know what I
just
mean?
and I guess maybe that's a bad example, but what it makes, there's a common theme
Yeah,
in all this different shit, I guess, is
yeah,
kind of my point. And the common theme is Pat Downey.
yeah,
That's the only common
yeah.
denominator in all these
Right.
different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I have a hard time giving grace or like whatever to something that like it's always some bullshit. There's always
Always.
some bullshit. And then same thing. So he just grapples
Weidman.
Weidman, yeah, which was sweet. Weidman looked great, dude, for
Yeah.
being in his 40s. I mean, that dude's, he's one of the legends for a reason. He looked great.
They're both out of the testing pool.
No doubt.
I'm curious. I'm curious. Yeah. I'm just curious what that would entail.
Yeah. I mean, what is there is there any kind of like testing in Fury? Do they
No.
have any kind of testing like that for grappling?
No.
Yeah, I didn't. So it's, I mean, I don't know, dude. Jiu-jitsu is one of those things. It's super strange. I guess because like the UFC kind of has a monopoly on MMA. Like there are these other promotions, like you have the PFL, and then your
Yeah.
local promotions and stuff like that. But you have like the PFL, but like the
And who knows
PFL,
how long that's going to be.
dude, the PFL is like just a complete sham. They literally give people tickets for free, right? They give away tickets for free. They can't fill events. When we were watching their one real big event they had last year. They have a fighter, you probably know who she is, Dakota Decheva, who's female fighter. I think she's 125 or 115. I think she's incredible. I think she could compete like in the UFC. But she's fighting for their $500,000 check or $1 million, whatever that prize was. She's the biggest name they have. The camera shows her in her corner, and you look behind her, and there's nobody in the seats.
Wow.
And I'm like, dude, this is a horrible look. Like, this is the worst. Like, it's different if this was the first fight of the night, right? Like we see that at UFC events every now and again. Like, the first fight of the night prelims, the arena's not filled up yet. But when you're talking about the co-main event, and there's like 6 people in the stands behind her corner,
Yeah.
like, but whatever. Like, so I guess to my point, like UFC kind of has monopoly, and they have this league or promotion that everybody fights under. You're signed, exclusive contracts. Jiu-jitsu really isn't that way. There's nobody signing. There's not a big enough promotion right now to be signing guys to exclusive contracts.
Yeah.
To when then they could test. Like steroids in jiu-jitsu it just is. I don't
have a problem with it personally. Granted, you know, I'm obviously clean and I'm
Yeah.
competing against guys on steroids, but whatever. I think I don't have any interest in making jiu-jitsu a clean sport if you're asking me.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I guess like I just
Dude, give the
wonder,
guys something to do. They can't fight, you know?
right. Well, and when I wonder like it was like this in the UFC too for a while. Like, you had UFC fighters for a long time, like early 2000s, 2010,
Yeah.
you know, just like jacked out of their mind on
Yeah.
steroids.
Vitor Belfort in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like commonly talked about and discussed that like this was happening, even though there was testing, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wonder, but like it gets to a certain point to where like that had to stop, obviously. Like there had to be, because I do feel like when you grow to like a certain size or a certain level for the sport, for there to be like some legitimacy behind it, like we can't just have everybody roided out of their minds, like when we're trying to sell people on MMA, if everybody was on steroids, we go, yeah, we lock two guys in a cage. They're on the most amount of steroids they can get their hands on, and then they beat the shit out of each other. To some
Yeah.
people,
No,
that sounds good.
look,
To a
I
casual
am
fan
happy.
base,
I'm happy that it's a clean sport
yeah,
because at the end of the day, if it wasn't and we were allowed to do steroids, whatever I'm gonna do, there's gonna be some Brazilian guy that's gonna do 3 times as much, who doesn't care about his health. You know what I mean? That is
right.
just like, yo, you know what I mean? So I'm always there's no winning. Like,
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's kind of the difference too in the two sports. Like it's easy to sit here and make the comparison between, submission grappling and MMA, but you're also not punching, kicking, kneeing, elbowing guys in the head.
it's huge. You can't have a guy
Yeah. I mean, that's
who
that's
look, it's pretty like self-explanatory here. Like, if I punch you in the face, right?
yeah.
Like, and then you add the power of my punch and you can double it. And
Yeah, I'm
that's
dead.
gonna do twice as much damage. You can't do that.
I'm
Like,
dead. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm dead, dude. I'm dead. Yeah. I'm a 170 pound, 32-year-old carpenter father or two, trains jujitsu twice a week, dude. I'm fucking dead. That's
Yeah.
it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I love jujitsu. I love submission grappling. I love like where that sport is going. Um, all the different events, like even CJI last year, I thought was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I would have loved to got on that. That would have been cool.
They're doing it again in August. Do-
Craig,
Doing it again, Craig. Yeah, but
help
I
me
think
out.
this time they're doing like some kind of version of a quintet. So instead of
Teams of
how it,
four.
I think it's teams of 4 or 5. It might be 5, and they have like a certain weight limit for the whole team.
Wow, maybe
Get a
depending
little
on when
Marquez
Sean
MMA
fights
team in there.
again, maybe Craig would want a rematch with Sean.
Yeah, I think he's actually the super fight is Craig Jones and Gable Stevenson.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. They've
Yeah,
been doing videos together.
yeah, yeah. They're promoting it. It's last year was obviously like the first one, and it went entirely too long. Like it was a long night. Like even the first night I think went until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I lost interest, not right away, but I didn't follow it all the way.
Yeah, and then so like I didn't see all that, and then day two was a little bit better. But it's first one. You got some stuff to
I
clean up.
enjoyed the Jason Knopf. Was that Rotolo?
Oh, Cade. Yeah,
Yeah, they were interesting matches. And then like Downey Rockhold was a decent match.
yeah.
Um, they definitely were long though. How long were those matches?
Well, so they were three. I don't know if they were 3 5-minute rounds. They
Yeah,
were
see, that's
three
too long
rounds.
for grappling.
Right.
Which you guys can't figure it out in 10 minutes. You need 15.
So
Too long.
yeah, there's like that's the other thing too. Like everybody kind of has different rules. Like you see, like the UFC, they do their what is it, the Fight Pass Invitationals or whatever.
Yeah.
Like their rules are different than what Fury Pro Grappling is, and
I tried to get a grappling match with Hidalgo after our fight on the Fight
yeah,
Pass Invitational. They didn't have any interest.
that's surprising to me.
They never. I said it in all the interviews. Like afterwards, I was like, "Yo, I would love to do Fight Pass Invitational. I would love to do Fight Pass Invitational." No one even ever reached out or said anything.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of surprising because that'd be a fire grappling match.
I
You versus
agree.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tough, bro. Even your fight against him, like, I'm just like, dude, this fucking Brazilian dude just won't, like, he just don't quit, dude.
Yeah. No, his leg was mangled after the fight. Like I was
Yeah.
surprised he could even walk on it.
Yeah. He's a tough old dude, man. But
Yeah.
he keeps coming. But yeah, so I don't know. That's the only thing. It's kind of uh like the rule set, depending on the promotion with submission grappling is like so different, which I think it becomes difficult for people to follow. Like,
Yeah.
what am I watching now? Like,
Yeah.
is this, and I,
Sub-MMA.
right. And then, so like the CJI was like, it was a 10-point must system. So it was scored like MMA. That's why they had the rounds. But they also told you, I forget what the name of this is, but like they tell you who won the round like right after the round.
Yeah, in round scoring.
In round scoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a 10-point must system, 3 rounds, I think it was, and then but it's in round scoring. So as they were coming, back down the ramp off the pit to start again, they would say whatever, advantage red or advantage blue,
Yeah.
and you'd know who won. So like that was kind of cool because that's why that Cade Rotolo match was incredible in that last round because it was tied.
Yeah.
And they both knew it was tied.
Yeah, that's cool.
You
Dude,
know?
honestly, I did that one time when I fought Aaron Jeffrey in LFA in Kansas.
Yeah. Well, that was
They
like COVID time, right?
dude, there wasn't a soul in the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but they told me in between rounds, "Oh, that was you won that round 10-8 or 10-9." Yeah.
Mm. So they've been talking about that as like a something, that they could bring, but it nothing ever seems to come to fruition. I'm honestly for it because I think there needs to be a little bit more transparency. Like some of the,
I don't have any problem with it.
yeah, I mean, then you know what I mean? I guess I don't know. As a fighter, like you kind of know where you stand. I think strategically it's better, you
Look,
know?
I think that some of these judges aren't scoring the rounds until the whole fight's over,
Dude, I agree.
which is not the way it should be. These
It's
judges should have to pick and score these rounds after each
That's how it's
individual
supposed
round.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah. They
No,
shouldn't be waiting to see how round 3 goes to score round 2.
dude, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with that. And I've
And if you're
always,
saying that that's not what's happening, then why wouldn't you announce the scores in between rounds?
right. Well, and then you have like, because then you have like these just ridiculous scorecards that come from judges sometimes to where like, I don't understand. I think it was, trying to think what the fight was. It might have been the last UFC fight night they had, but one judge scored it 50-47 and one judge scored it 50-47, but both for opposite, or I'm sorry, uh not 50-40, 30-27.
Yeah.
30-27 and 30-27, but for opposite fighters.
It's just there's no
How is that
way they're
even
watching the
possible?
same fight.
Like how is that even possible? I like either neither one of them is clear on like what the scoring criteria is, and they both have just opinions on what they think it is,
Right.
which is ridiculous. But like they always say, like, oh, damage is the number one criteria. But like, is it to everybody? I don't know.
Yeah, so you got two judges, right? And they just work for the state. They're state employees, right?
Right.
Neither of them have ever fought, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them had a nephew that wrestled in high school, and they would go and watch their nephew's high school wrestling match. The other one volunteers at a boxing gym.
Right.
So now they're watching the same fight and being like, obviously, one's going to value some striking way over the takedowns.
Sure.
It's just
Yeah.
like, there's no like, I kind of would be interested to see how the AI scoring would go, personally.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
and I
not
think,
saying that's the answer, but I think it could be.
I mean, I don't think there's any like, I don't know. Like, what are the capabilities of that? Like, that can watch a fight live and then score that. I'm sure it can, right? It can do
Yeah.
so many things. It just watches the fight live and then you tell it how to score. Score it based off this criteria first. So you go damage, you go control, you go, whatever, octagon control time,
Yeah.
takedown, whatever your order is. Come up with whatever you want. I agree that damage should be the number one criteria. Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a
It's a
fight.
fight.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you tell it that, and then it can watch this fight live. And, I mean, dude, you can type shit into Grok right now and it spits you out a fucking short story or a book in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it pulls 25 different sources that it's pulling information from like that. So I'm sure it could. And like, the only worry I would, and maybe this is me just like putting on the tinfoil hat a little bit, like, how do we know it's not compromised? How do you know it
Yeah.
doesn't get compromised?
The only alternative that I can think of is just like, there's so many fighters that retired. Like, the
Yeah.
UFC has cut like 20 fighters in the past like 6 months.
Yeah.
What are those guys doing? Like, why can't we get those guys hired to be judges?
Right.
Like, who would be better at scoring a judging a MMA fight than someone who's been in there and done it?
True.
I just
Yeah.
think we need more people with it, more in depth of a MMA background.
You have a few, but not enough. Like Chris Lieben,
Is a
started
ref.
right, but he also was a judge on a
Oh, I didn't
few
know that.
UFC cards.
I like
But
that. Like, that's what we need
yeah,
more of.
that's the perfect right. Like, but
Yeah.
that's the other thing too. Like, I'd almost wonder. So, like, the judges and the refs, right, all come from the state athletic commission, wherever you're fighting at.
Yeah.
And obviously, the UFC is going to get the best referees that that they have to offer or whatever. But you have like the same referees kind of all the time, right? Like the Herb Deans, the Mark Goddards,
Yep.
all those guys. Also, these guys also train martial arts, like, and they've been around MMA for 2 decades.
Yeah.
There's only one referee per fight. Would it not be a bad idea to then just have referees cycle and have 3 of them judge and 1 of them ref? And then cycle referees like from judging to reffing?
Yeah. No, I like where you're going with it.
Right? Like,
I think there's a lot of things that they can do differently, or at least
yeah.
try.
I know we're sitting here like, it's easy to just sit here and say like, oh, do this, do that, whatever. But I think the brainstorming shit needs to happen. Like, people
Yeah.
need to throw out like, yo, what about this? What about that? Whatever. I just look at the referees that like MMA uses. I mean, Cage Fury uses the same guys, dude. Cage Fury uses the same guys the UFC does in the 2300 arena all the time. Why? It's same thing. Just instead of using judges that are wearing, suits, these like fancy fucking suits and shit. Like they don't even know what they're watching. Put these guys that have trained the sport and judged and reffed the sport for decades. I mean, that to me just makes sense. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. All right. So I want to ask you about a fight actually that you called for. And if you're still interested, I don't want you to look past your opponent, obviously. You're smiling. I think you might know what I'm about to ask you, but you called for Bo Nickal after your last win. They almost didn't let you get the call out, but you got the call out in.
Daniel Cormier didn't want to give me the microphone.
Yeah, that's all right, dude. He's, you know what I mean? I don't,
Yeah.
something a little wrong with that one, dude.
Mm.
But whatever. So you call out Bo Nickal. We just watched Bo Nickal. I mean, it was a bad loss, you know? But I mean, he's just so young in the sport. I don't know how I feel really about him in total, but I just wonder, you called for that fight after your last win. You're booked against Edmund Shabazian now. If you get a win Saturday in Atlanta, do you call for Bo Nickal again, even though he loses?
Honestly, I'd be lying if it just doesn't excite me as much as it did when he was undefeated.
Yeah.
Like the statement that I've been trying to make since day one is that I'm the best grappler in this division. That's the whole reason I called out Mearshart. I called out Adolfo Vieira. I called out, like, that's the whole reason, to prove I'm the best grappler in this division.
Yeah.
Bo couldn't Bo had an underhook for the whole fight and couldn't take him down.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not, dude, it's tough. Like I like Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal's a Penn State guy. Like I try to, you know what I mean? Um, it's tough though. Like you see all the shit on the internet, and like, the fight against Paul Craig sucked, dude. And then to go on like a million podcasts afterwards and tell everybody that you had a perfect game, and that everybody in your camp's telling you had a perfect game. Like I just start to question sometimes, like, who do you have around you that's telling you, or what are they not telling you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like the people you keep around you are everything. And if you have everybody, like a bunch of yes men around you that are telling you, like, hey, you're perfect, you're doing everything great. How do you get better? I don't. I'm skeptical in that camp situation now. After really the last two of his performances. But I was just curious how you kind of felt about him as a future opponent. Um, what you thought about that.
I just think stylistically I'm a terrible matchup for him because I can both strike and grapple.
Yeah.
And I know that now it doesn't even interest me that much anymore. Like, you can't make an argument that he's a better fighter than me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, he didn't. I don't know. I mean,
if he wins a fight or two, then it would interest me. But I'm not looking to kick a man while he's down, and he's not on top no more. All that shit he talked it doesn't mean shit now.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, looking at the kind of the top of your division,
Yeah.
um, what do you where do you kind of see your career going? I guess you're what, 33, I think, about
Yeah.
my age. You're 33. Where do you kind of see, the trajectory of your career going moving forward, looking at, how that top 10, top 15, top 5, Khamzat, DDP, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, Khamzat is clearly the best grappler next to myself.
Okay. Yeah. So they always talked about Bo Nickal Khamzat. The reason I brought it up is like, the way to really find out is that. I mean, that's the guy. You know, it seems like that's kind of the number one contender for the belt at the moment. You know, how do you position yourself to get that fight?
That's the $1 million question. I think that, like, I'm the short notice guy. So
Yeah.
I just got to be ready.
Yeah. You never know.
Somebody is always getting hurt, bro.
Yeah.
I'm the short notice guy. They know that if they call me, I answer.
He, you know, he isn't the most reliable fighter himself.
No.
So, you know, that's like he missed weight the one time. I know it was at 170, but still, like, he missed at 170 by like 9 pounds and fucked the entire event up. You know, I don't know. There's just a lot of questions I have about that dude in general. Just like, you know, I'm not even sure if he can fight in the United States. You know what I mean?
I was always told he couldn't, but they
Well,
booked him.
well, right. So that's what they always said. Now they're saying like, oh, now he can. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
like they're
I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but
yeah,
I was told he couldn't get in the country.
right. Well,
But
yeah.
now they booked him in Chicago.
Yeah, and that's him and DDP, right? That's the
Yeah.
title. And in August.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, you're fighting first week in June. You got to get yourself kind of into that top 15, top 10 range. You know, to kind of be on short notice for that. So you got to just keep taking fights, keep winning fights, I guess, until you kind of put yourself in that position. But yeah, I love the idea. Just short notice guy. It happens all the time, right? We see it. We saw it at lightweight with Moicano. Like Moicano went from 10th to a fucking title shot. Didn't go well for him, but dude,
I
you're
fucking
there.
love it. I love
Yeah,
that story.
yeah. Why not? You know. But yeah. So you
And
train.
we know he got paid.
Oh yeah, Money Moicano. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So you train Marquez MMA, Philly. You guys, I mean, really got some big names coming out of that gym. How did you end up at Marquez with, you know, the likes of Sean Brady and the Joe Pifers, and how'd you kind of
So
end up there?
I was originally with Balance,
Mm-hmm.
and I got sober in 2018, and I had a couple fights when I got sober, and or no, this was before. My buddy was like, at the time, um my buddy took me to John's gym. This is when he had the Red Door. It was right under the bridge, like in the heart of Kensington.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, and I was probably like 3 or 4 months sober. And I went in and I trained and I popped my rib. And like I literally like couldn't breathe. And
Yep.
I literally left my gear at the gym and just walked out. And I got in my truck and I was just sitting in my truck under the L. And like I was gonna get high. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, man, I'm in like so much pain right now. And I just like said a prayer and then I went home. And I went home and I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to be there. Like that, I'm not ready to be in Kensington every day.
Right.
So so then I left and I went to Denver for 2 months and I did a camp out there. And when I came home, I went back again and I definitely had like a way better foundation. And when I went back, it was like a real MMA team. Like I love Balance and Rick Miglerese and Phil are like,
Yeah.
dude, dynamite. Like they are killers when it comes to jiu-jitsu. But it's not an MMA team. Like,
Right.
it's a jiu-jitsu academy.
Yeah.
So when I joined John, like, and Daniel at the time, like, dude, they were training for MMA. Like Sean and Jeremiah, and then me and Piper went over at the same time.
Right.
So Yeah, at that time I was training with Sean like every day, and it was just the training was just like cranked up to 10. So that's how I ended up there.
So you started there and or when you went back, I guess I should say, went back, like you kind of just said, like, oh, this is different, and you've been
Yeah.
training there ever since. And you're from where, like Delco area or what?
Yeah, I went to Springfield High School.
Okay, so you went to Springfield and you're in Philly now. So,
I live in
uh,
Jersey, but
oh, you
yeah,
do?
I still train in Philly.
Okay, I don't know where Marquez is. I know it's in the city, right?
Yeah, it's like off the Aramingo exit on
Oh, okay,
95.
yeah,
Just a little bit north of Kensington.
okay, all right, yeah. So we it's cool. I'm glad that you kind of shared that story. It's dope. I did not know, like, I didn't know you're sober now, I'm guessing still, right?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
clean since 2018.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that about you. So it's cool to learn that. I just had 3 years myself in March. So thank you, man.
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. Yeah. So
That's a big
uh
deal.
yeah, it's cool. My wife sober. But we got sober there. Uh Really the first time back in 2014 up in the
In
Northeast.
Philly?
Yeah. Yep. Cotman.
Yeah, that's where I met my girlfriend as well.
Really Tacony. Um little club up there on Friendship Street that we used to be involved with for a long time. And that shit saved my life. And then now, I'm in Delaware. So not far, but yeah, I'm in Delaware now with her and the kids and everything. But Philly, I love that city, like for that reason specifically, like just for what it did for my life, like the trajectory of my life, um, is different. Like I kind of have a special appreciation for that city and the people in it, just because like without my time there, I don't know if I'd even be here.
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
you can
No,
appreciate
my
that.
everything I have today is a direct result of the work that I did in AA and with God. 1000%.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
not in the
awesome.
program no more. I wouldn't even say that I'm not even gonna say I'm sober, but everything I have today is because of the work I did in AA.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I honestly just didn't even know that. So it's cool. Like I love finding shit like that out about people too, like um
Yeah, I always talk about when I was an amateur and I was getting high, um like I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know like I had at this point I had lost all hope that like I could ever get off drugs.
yeah.
But I did hear Jared Gordon's story on like I would look up like if there's any fighters on Suboxone in the UFC. Like
Yeah.
that was like my best hope at that point was like
Okay.
this is my best bet here. And like Chris Lieben was on it and there was like one other fighter who ended up ODing and I just like was like dude there's no fucking way like I'm
Yeah.
fucked sideways. And I remember hearing Jared Gordon's story on Ariel Hawani's, and I was just like, damn, that's me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm literally where he was at right now. And not that that got me sober or anything, but I just remember thinking, like, maybe there is a chance.
It's all those little things, like it's a kind of the culmination of like a bunch of little moments that always kind of stack up like that. But that's really all it takes sometimes. It's like you just hear one thing and maybe you've even heard it before, but you hear it a little bit differently this time and it just changes. Like these little kind of thought patterns and shit just start changing in your brain. Um, yeah, there's a couple people, Terrence McKinney at
Yeah.
lightweight, Terrence
Yeah.
McKinney
So me
sober.
and Terrence, we spoke at a homeless shelter in Newark
No kidding.
together. Yeah, it was a youth homeless shelter. So we've done some stuff together.
I yeah, he's got a good story too.
Yeah,
We love him. I appreciate the way he fights because he's either knocking somebody out or getting knocked out within the first
yeah,
45 seconds of a fight, which
yeah.
I don't know is like the best thing, but it's hilarious. Like it's the craziest shit
No, he's a
there is.
gamer, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a cool dude, but it's there's a bunch of those guys, man. It's I mean something that I guess like that affects so many people, millions and millions and millions of people all over the country. Like you see them in the NFL now, like Max Crosby and Darren Waller, and these big NFL stars and NBA and all the sports, dude. I mean, athletes. I mean, it's a common thing. So, now we're starting to get more and more stories come out with MMA fighters and guys in the
Yeah,
UFC too.
like if you've ever heard of the Tim Grover book, Relentless,
No,
that's a real good one. But he talks about like the mindset of all the best athletes, and like there's no doubt there's a connection between like what makes us special in competition
right?
is like obviously what also makes us like terrible drug addicts.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's certainly like a connection there.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, I don't, like just the willingness, I guess, kind of like inactive addiction to do like some of the just most ridiculously crazy shit to do whatever you got to do. Like, it's a survival instinct. It's like the fight or flight mode. Um, that's like a comfortable place for, some of us to be. Like, I'm
Yeah.
okay there. That's normal to me. Uh, regular people, that's not like they don't have that kind of same thought process.
Yeah,
So it
no
is
doubt.
interesting.
But I
Uh
on the flip side, like I also have like a way different perspective on fighting now than the guys that haven't gone through that. Like for me, you could say like, "Oh, maybe I don't take it as seriously." But in my perspective, it's like, "No, I just am like in perspective, like I'm not dope sick in a jail cell." So like
yeah,
losing a fight is like the fear of losing a fight is like, okay, like,
yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean? I'm, it's not like I'm fucking dope sick. Like,
So I just I
when
mean,
you've woken up, been dope sick, and had to find $20 to get a bag, like, that's
yeah,
a different, like,
yeah,
you've been through different shit. Like,
yeah,
discomfort is different. We have different levels of discomfort.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I was
Like, if
having
you
this
never experienced precipitated withdrawal, like,
yeah. Yeah, you be watching the clock, waiting before you can take that fucking Suboxone, and then you take it a
yeah,
little too early.
yeah.
Woo.
The
Um,
worst.
yeah, dude, kill me. But so it's funny because I was, and like, I don't mean to say this to say it's even remotely on the same level, but it's the same premise. Like, uh, I'm relatively new to jujitsu. Like, it's something that I started to do because I do this. So like, we sit here, we talk to fighters all the time on this podcast, and then like eventually I'm just like, I want to fucking, let me get in there. You know what I mean? Let me get in there, and mix it up a little bit.
Now we're
Like
talking, baby.
whatever. And so it's right when Gentleman's opened up. Like, I started to have that kind of thought process, like, and then immediately I seen like them posting stuff online, like brand new gym opening up, da da da, whatever. And I knew some people already that were there, so I started training um jiu-jitsu there, and then I just did my first competition, and didn't go well, like result wise. Learning experience, solid learning experience for sure. But the same thing, like
And how
in
long were you training before this competition?
like 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah,
My girlfriend was she wanted to do a bodybuilding show.
yeah,
And so we started hanging out and she starts doing jujitsu.
yeah,
And she did like maybe 9 practices and she wanted to do a tournament.
yeah,
so she started doing this tournament, and she did all right. Like, but she got fucked up in the first
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
So then she was like, I got to redeem myself. So she started training. And she did another one, and she got a couple wins in the second tournament.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess like it's a totally different thing. Like it's a totally different atmosphere, like that competitive atmosphere than, from just kind of rolling at the gym to competing. Um, it's different. I don't know that like I really knew what to expect at all. You know what I'm saying? I was just kind of
Yeah.
showing up there like, fuck it, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring, like
Yeah.
whatever. But it's interesting, like I kind of said, like in my mind, truly, I already won because first of all, like at my age, like in your 30s, like how many people are just like how many of my friends are walking into a gym in their 30s? Like none of them.
No.
And then so there's kind of like a top percentage of even doing that. Like even the fact to walk in the gym and be able to do it. And then beyond that, like how many people train jiu-jitsu but don't ever compete, a lot. So
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, well, dude, like I'm already doing shit that is hard and difficult and that so many other fucking people aren't even doing anyway. So like in my mind, you know what I mean? That's a fucking win. Like
Bro, just
regardless of
stick
what the
with it.
outcome is.
Just stick with it.
Yeah. Right. And that's
Because
like,
you'll get to a point where once you start like getting good and like getting a game, like
yeah.
you'll know your game. Like I know what my game is. Like for a while, and it does evolve, but like for a while, like my game was the front headlock series. Like I could catch Darce, Anaconda, guillotine for all from the front headlock. And like once you know what your game is, then it starts getting fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's like I said that to my coach like after I lost one of the matches at the tournament, like I was like I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I had no clue what to do. Like I don't know if that was like something within myself or just like being so new, you don't like I had no game plan. Like I went there like, fuck it, like let's
Yeah.
just fucking see what happens. It didn't go well for me like that. But that's what I
That's
said. Like,
okay.
yeah, it's a learning experience. You know what I mean? So it's all good. Dude. Well, anyway, listen, I don't, it's getting late. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I appreciate you, sitting down and having this conversation. Anyway, it was good to see you and meet you on Saturday, and then, have you turn around and hop on here with me.
You
Tonight, and
got it, brother.
we'll be watching your fight June 14th against Edmund Shabazian, UFC Atlanta, Andre Petroski. 3-fight win streak going for 4. Big deal. June 14th. Make sure you check that out. If you have give you the opportunity, obviously, like if you have any sponsors or social medias, anything you kind of want to shout out before we hop off of here.
Yeah, so I've been working with one of my good sponsors is Easy Auto. It's a pre-owned.
Is this the clip I saw the other day on
Yeah.
Instagram?
So it's a pre-owned car dealership in Trevose up Roosevelt Boulevard in Northeast Philly.
Yeah.
And so if anybody is looking for a pre-owned vehicle, shoot me a message. We've been I was up there last week. We got plenty of Wranglers. I know summer's right around the corner, so if anyone's looking for a vehicle, shoot me a message or message them at Easy Auto.
And if you haven't already, go to his Instagram and watch the fucking reel that they put out for this shit because that was hilarious.
I'll be working, bro.
Yeah, I love it. Well, listen, man, thank you again. Good luck to you. Don't forget, if you're still listening to the podcast, don't forget to hit the follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, like the video. Make sure you follow Andre Petroski on all his socials. I'll tag him in the description below. Check that fight June 14th, baby. Let's get it.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Peace.